Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today we are going to have again, I've been saying this a lot lately because, one of the goals of the show is to not keep on having the same recurring conversation about, oh, you got to have a morning routine, or the same old conversation of like, you got to call for sell by owners or expireds. I want to expose you to anything and everything that could positively impact your business. And that's why I made it my mission to find the experts in their niche, in their area, and expose you to them so you can model them and ride on the shoulders of those giants who have already done everything that you're trying to do. And in doing all research and monitoring and extracting and learning from, we found Stefanie, and I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name. So we found, it should be easy, but I'm not going to. We found Stefanie, and Stefanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Chadi. Stefanie Lugo here. I know it is one of those little vague areas. Anytime there's like a vowel, it could go one or two ways, right?
Exactly. I don't want to be the one to butcher it in front of, thousands of people. Like, people butcher my name all the time, and I just got used to it, though. I'm immune to it, so it's all good. So Stefanie, some people may have heard of you, some people may not have heard of you and have no idea who you are, and this is where we give you the opportunity to tell people, who are you and how amazing are you?
Well, I just like to show up, as I like to say. My name's Stefanie. If you haven't heard of me or met of me, I'm super excited to be hanging with you and kind of taking some time with the audience. So really appreciative to be here. My story starts like 7 years ago, where I was in my corporate finance 9 to 5, and I'm just one of those typical agents who figured I could do it better, right? So my husband and I quit our careers basically in finance and decided to jump headfirst into an industry that we had absolutely no experience in, because we thought it was going to be like our ticket to freedom and flexibility. And then we very quickly realized that this was one of the least flexible and most unforgiving lines of work there is in real estate. But we stuck through it and just fell in love with this industry. We fell in love with real estate and the people that we got to work with. And it really allowed us to fall in love with our community all over again, because we've lived where we live here in the Phoenix area forever. And so being able to really build the business and life of our dreams has been something that we'll cherish forever. And over time, I just realized that there was a big piece missing in terms of how real estate agents kind of like found traction in their own ways, because Chadi, there's so many different ways that you can build a business in this industry. And so a couple of years ago, I got really obsessive about working with my colleagues in the industry and helping them find ways to kind of level up. And I kind of settled into a niche for myself on helping other agents to build their brand in genuine and authentic ways using organic social media strategies. And that's part of what I do today. However, I'm still producing here in the Phoenix market with my husband as well.
Awesome. I love how you said, first it was, about, getting into business, then you fell in love with the business. And then what it really sounds like is you fell in love with the industry, and you're here to not only just impact your community by helping people buy a home and sell a home, but you want to also impact our colleagues, all across the country. Do it the right way, be their shortcut. And I love how you said, there are many different ways to generate business. And I'm not going to say one is right and one is wrong. And I think they all work and they all play a different role through your journey of selling real estate. Maybe you start here and then you expand and you scale and you move other things. And I think where you guys really shine is you're using more of like modern strategies for growing your real estate business genuinely and authentically. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you speak a little bit about like if you can give me a breakdown of your business comes from, okay, the modern way, what percentage of your business comes from this way, and I'm sure you have other ways, etc., just so our listeners can better relate to where you're at and what's possible for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that what it really comes down to is, and I say this often, real estate has always been built on real people and real relationships. And modern marketing strategies don't change that. They don't distort how things have always worked. And that was one thing that we understood. But when we got into the business, we didn't have any connections. Like there was nobody who was going to feed us referrals. We didn't have endless budgets for marketing for leads. Right. And so the only thing that we could really figure out, and that was back in 2014, 2015, was, well, we have social media and it's free. I have this fantastic piece of technology in my hand, which is a smartphone. And so I understood that we could kind of broadcast our brand across different channels in our community to begin developing our database. I understood that we just needed to know more of the right people. And so we got really obsessive about creating a really irresistible brand. And I don't know that it's irresistible today, but it works. And today we, let's see, just thinking about my latest metrics, we probably generate just over 40% of our business organically on social media. That's like direct to consumer, so not counting any referrals from agents in other markets. And then we also heavily lean on our database for referrals as well. So people that we already know, like, and trust, or who know, like, and trust us, sending us repeat business and referrals. And that's the business that we love to do because inquiries come to us. It's inbound business and we don't have to chase. And as an introvert and somebody who was stricken with a horrible case of call hesitancy, this is really the only way that I could be successful, I think, in real estate, because I just don't have the chops to go do door knocking or cold calling is what it really comes down to.
I love that you highlighted that, because, we would all look at you and say, oh, natural extrovert, social butterfly. And, she's picking up the phone and she's door knocking and she's networking and she's doing all that stuff. Because I know a lot of people can relate to that. And it's funny that, I would say probably about 80% of the people that, I've interacted with, and I've been on over 30,000 one-on-one coaching calls, do fall in that category of like, I just can't get myself to pick up the phone. I just can't go out there and do some of those, extrovert things, etc. And yeah, we've been very successful in helping, a lot of those people overcome their shyness and their timidness and, build up their confidence and all that good stuff. However, I am not dismissing the fact that when you brand yourself correctly and you create the irresistible brand, you begin what's called attraction marketing. And it's so much easier for you to pick up the phone and call somebody that's interested in who you are and what you have to offer than to do the cold call. And I've been steering a lot of my clientele right now into doing a lot more than that. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people go about doing it the wrong way. For example, their listing just listed, something online or just sold something online. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And within a week or two, ain't nobody biting, ain't nobody calling, ain't nobody DMing. And they're like, this stuff doesn't work. So can we talk about some of the mistakes that people go about doing this? Because I think everybody tried it and it didn't work for them.
There's a couple of mistakes that, in my experience, a lot of agents run into. And the first one is relevance, right? So they lack relevance. And the problem is, if you're looking at your audience, let's look at something like your database, right? Because you would never tell an agent who had 150 solid contacts in their database, you would never say 150 people in your database, you're never going to have a successful business. That's not true at all, right? There's like an 8% conversion for a database, right? So you could potentially get 8 deals out of every 100 contacts that you have in relationships. And that's a pretty well-known stat in the industry. That doesn't change when it comes to social media, right? Like those numbers of followers, that doesn't necessarily change. But what's important to understand is those individuals can be anywhere in the cycle of homeownership. And they're not necessarily finding you and following you based off of their immediate need of having to buy or sell a home. That is really difficult for a lot of agents to accept, because more often than not, we are really in a place of urgency and scarcity where we need that next deal now. And so that's why most agents fall into that trap of only posting the product, the house, right? Like just sold, open house, because they are trying to fulfill that immediate need. But what happens when you do that is you actually alienate over 90% of your audience who's following you. And so the things that you're putting out there are no longer relevant to them. And so in order to solve that problem, you really have to take a step back and consider, who is my audience, right? Where are those ideal clients within that audience? Where are they in that cycle of homeownership? And how can I create content that's going to be relevant to them where they're at? That is how you create that top of mind brand awareness, because that's when you start speaking to them using language that they understand and relate to. And they always have a reason to tune into your social media account, right? Instead of just being like, man, they're just blasting me with all these ads, because it sounds salesy, spammy to talk about your listings. Like, most people just don't care. And if they did care, guess what? They're going to Zillow or these other sites that we all love to hate.
You know, you couldn't have said it any better. You know, relevancy. I think there's a lot of real estate agents out there that are doing this, who are speaking a good message to the wrong person, etc. And they really don't understand who is their audience, who is their ideal client. You know, what is their client, avatar? They've never stepped into the shoes of the consumer. And I think that is the most important thing before you employ any kind of paid marketing or organic marketing. How does one begin that? How did you do it? What was your process? Because I know there's somebody that just had a big aha moment right now saying, oh, I thought this was great, but ain't nobody resonating with it. No wonder why. So how do we go about that? If I can just, extract that from, like, do you have a framework? Do you have a
process? Isn't that funny though? Every other industry on the planet does this work before ever opening their doors. And here we are in real estate. We're so afraid to niche because we want to be the real estate agent for everyone. But like, as soon as you're the agent for everyone, you're not the agent for anybody, because nobody has a compelling reason to hire you in the first place. They don't understand what problems you solve. So that's what it comes down to. When you're identifying your ideal clients, it's not about losing opportunities, and it's not about saying no. It's about caring enough about the consumers that you're trying to serve to understand their problems and their desires and their needs, and learning where your solutions can intersect to create really powerful transformation for them. Okay, so if we look at it from that framework, one of the easiest places to start for most agents who at least have a couple of deals under their belt is to look back at some of the clients that they've worked with and think about, like, what were some of those slam dunk transactions for you, where you look back and you're like, man, the Joneses, they were so great working with them. I wish I had 100 more clients just like that. That transaction was easy. They trusted me. They liked me. We had great rapport. That's a really great way to start. And then you need to do some research and do a little bit of legwork to figure out a couple of different things. Number one, you want to know, like I mentioned, their problems, right? What was their main problems? What were their main stresses when it came to buying or selling? You should ask your clients, what is one thing that's keeping you up at night about this process? All right. And understand what those things are. You want to get to the root emotion that they're feeling, because we know that buying or selling a house is one of the most stressful things just an average Joe can do in their lives. And so the more that you can understand and have empathy for those feelings, the more you can incorporate that into your marketing, so that you can convey that you have an understanding of how they feel, but that you also have taken the time to create really strategic solutions for those problems. And this is also how you help new agents stand out. So if you're a brand new agent and you are freaking out because you're like, I have no value to offer, I've never even done a transaction before. The experience doesn't matter when you have a solution that goes beyond just how many houses you've sold. I mean, I know plenty of agents who've been in the business for 30 years, but aren't that great at what they do, right? And so your job is to really get granular about what is the actual solution that you're providing here. What skills are unique to you and your experience that come to the table to provide value beyond just the fact that you passed a test. That's really the work of identifying your ideal clients and then creating a brand story from that.
I think this is the work that most people don't want to do, because it does require some thinking. And I say, do all the hard work once, because once you know, you've already identified it. You don't need to go back to it. It's like when you learn how to drive a car, how many more times do you need to learn how to drive a car? Just one time. That's it. Do all the hard work once. Okay, so So I'll play the role of the real estate agent, okay? And it doesn't matter how many years I've been in the business, how many transactions I've done. I just got very clear that I like to work maybe with, people in the, like my niche is people in the age group of, let's say early 30s. They're just starting a family, they have a career, and they like to move into this little segment of the town for this reason, et cetera. Am I going in the right direction? And then maybe, some of their stresses right now is that they want to make sure they pick the right school district. They want to make sure that, they qualify for the best mortgage, et cetera. Am I going in the right direction, or is there something else that we need to add to that?
Yeah, that's a really great place to start. And once you've made that assumption of who those individuals are, you got to pick up the phone, right? Like give them a call. So if you have friends or family that fit that avatar or past clients, this is a great time to just shoot them a quick email and say, hey, wanted to ask you some questions on your experience with purchasing a home with me, or ask you some questions on your outlook for the real estate market in general. I'm just doing some research for my business. A few minutes of your time would really help. And from there, you just want to hop on the phone with them and ask a couple of questions. And this is one of the first exercises that we actually do in the Market Authority Academy, where I'm teaching agents tactically how to do this kind of stuff. But I'll just share this. You should be asking them what their greatest fears are, what was really important to them in a real estate transaction, whether they already purchased or whether they may purchase in the future. You want to get an idea of how they think about real estate and what the benefit to them would be in order to buy a home, because you and I understand the benefit and the wealth building aspect of investing in real estate, but we can't just assume that most consumers do. They're busy living their lives. They're busy trying to, pursue their own careers and goals and dreams. We don't have to just assume that they know everything that we do about real estate. So during those conversations, you're really looking for the holes, right? You're looking for the gaps in knowledge that you can fill that lead to those aha moments of transformation, where you make it very urgent in their eyes to be able to fulfill the aspect of home ownership. And you are the key to helping them make that happen strategically,
And see, a lot of times as human beings is that we have to outwardly express that we are the expert, when in essence, it's what you're saying and how you're saying it in the conversation that gets them to feel as if you really understand them. You understand how they feel, you understand how they think, you understand their fears. And all of a sudden, in that moment, they instantly position you in their mind as the expert. And all of a sudden, they're eating out of the palm of your hand. Would you agree with that statement or not?
I would. And one thing that was not included at all in what you said was personal production. Okay. Yeah. So those agents who are really honing in on their personal production and how many homes they're selling and pew, 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 top agent, top producer, nobody cares. It's really cool and you should be really proud of yourself, but you can't expect the consumer to equate that to value, because again, it goes back to relevance. They don't know what that means. And they don't know that the average agent only closes maybe 5 homes a year. They don't know that. But what they do know is that they're really afraid at the idea of selling their starter home and buying a more expensive home. They're really afraid of the idea of a contingent sale. They're really, really afraid of investing their entire savings into a home that they don't know if they're going to be there forever or not, right? And those are ways that we can kind of pick apart and help create guidance that's going to walk them through that process and make them feel more confident and feel more secure in their decisions. That's what people hire us for, whether they like it or not, or whether they know it or not. They're not hiring us to open a door or put a sign in the yard. No agent was ever recognized for being really good at installing signs. I mean, maybe, but I don't know of them. But what people really do love is feeling like they've reached a point of success in the context of their real estate transactions. And that is something that you and I, as a real estate agent, have complete control over through our branding and marketing.
Well, talking about branding and marketing, Stefanie. So now I've done this pre-work, the most important work. So I'm going to tell every single person right now, if you haven't already done that work, stop your marketing, save your money, save your reputation, etc. Take a week off. That's fine. 24 hours, a week off, however long it's going to take. Get this right and then re-employ your marketing. So I've done this work. I'm ready to go out there. Where should I be posting? What should I be posting?
So what's really great about this is there's no right or wrong answer to this. And it really does come down to your ideal client. So where are they hanging out? Okay, you can look at your database and figure out where they're hanging out. If you have a lot of people who are hanging out on Instagram, even if they don't post very often, they're probably checking in on Instagram quite often. You don't get to have a say in what you think about Instagram anymore. If that is what you've determined, you need to be hanging out on Instagram too, because that's where the eyeballs are. Same thing goes for LinkedIn. Same thing goes for you, for Facebook or YouTube or wherever else, whatever else the platform of the moment is. But it starts with them. And then you need to just come up with a strategy to be really consistent and showing up and providing valuable content. I'm not talking about like regurgitating stuff that people can Google, like the 3 steps that you should take to buy a home or something. I'm talking about like actual valuable content that's going to create transformation and inspiration in your audience, depending on where they're hanging out.
Perfect. So we've already identified, the value that we can give. So we understand exactly what our messaging is going to be. So the next thing that we need to take a look at is, and I would tell everybody right now, if there's 4, 5, 6, 7 social platforms that your clients are hanging out on, start with the one that the majority of them are on, perfect that, and then move it on to the second one and the third one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then in what you're saying, what showed up for me is 2 words: consistency and frequency. Okay, you said consistency. What does that look like? Consistency every day, twice a day, yeah.
So I'm probably most recognized in the Instagram space. So I'll speak in the context of Instagram. I think on Instagram, a lot of people assume they need to like show up every single day and post every single day. And, there are some like quote unquote gurus out there who will say you need to post multiple times a day. That's just not true. And most people are going to tune you out no matter how good your content is, because most people just don't care to hear from one person that often. So, I mean, at this point, I posted every day for years, and that got me to a certain point. But as the algorithm has changed, I think that you can probably post, 3 to 5 times a week, maybe. And as long as you're being consistent at that cadence, you're good. I think that you should be showing up on the stories every single day, because that is a easy way to connect with the audience who already follows you. Posting to your feed or posting reels is going to get in front of people who don't already follow you. So those are 2 different functions that you're trying to address there. So that would probably be the 2 most important parts of the strategy, is just posting to the feed consistently so that you're putting really great like gallery space for your Instagram there, and then connecting deeper with the audience on stories every day.
I love that. So one is to bring them into your world, and one is to really engage them in your world, like really connect with them.
Yeah. Having conversations, setting appointments. That's where that's happening. That's happening in the stories and the direct messages.
And that doesn't cost you any money.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't even hardly cost you any time. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go make 20 cold calls, or are you going to try to make 20 DMs and start conversations? Like, that's my perspective anyway.
Talking about cold calls, there's something, because there's some people like, for example, I have a woman that I work with right now, one of my coaching students, she just from picking up the phone and making phone calls, she'll take 100 listings this year. And where she's dropping a ball and I'm like, hit her. I was like, what's going to make your calling more effective? When your brand is all over the place online, because everyone you hang up the phone with, they're going to look you up. And if they ain't seeing your content, then you're just a cold caller. Mm-hmm. But if you're seeing your content everywhere, it's going to enhance how many more appointments you sign from all the outreach that you're doing.
100%. And my problem with those types of lead generation, like the cold calling, is the moment you remove yourself from that activity, you don't have a business anymore. Exactly. It is not scalable, because you cannot scale your time in that way. And it's also not, even if you were to bring on a team to take on the calls for you, nobody's going to have the skill that you've developed over those thousands of calls that you've made. And it's not even going to be like cost efficient in order to bring those personnel on. So it is great. So if you're the agent who has done that incredible work of building this business based off of cold calling and becoming a listing agent, that's awesome. But that's one piece of it. Exactly. So we need to really, like you're mentioning, like that is when you need to start looking at the holistic sense of your business and becoming not just a salesperson, but a CEO who's going to build like a legacy business. That's the that is the beauty of real estate to me. That's what I love about this industry.
That's exactly why I brought up that point, because you as the expert, I wanted you to say that there's a big difference between being a telemarketer and being a CEO of your company. And we're not against telemarketing and picking up the phone. We're all for it because you get to find people that you can serve. However, if you want to scale your business and, multiply, your results from the same exact effort, we live in a digital world. I'm telling Stefanie, for me in my business, like literally almost every single person that eventually gets on a call with me, they've consumed so much of my content, they feel like they know me. They start quoting things I've said and things about my family, like they've known me forever. And that's the experience for the agents that I work with that use social media marketing and whatever other methods they use. So if you're watching this video, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't have your digital assets in place, right now is a good time to begin it. Like, don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week, and make sure that you follow Stefanie. Whatever she does, model it. Follow her, model it. Get involved in her marketing academy. Learn how to do it. She's the shortcut to getting you to where you want to get to. And now we're gonna move into another segment. So I've done all this work, Stefanie. Thank you very much. You showed me how to find my client avatar. I know exactly how to speak to them. I'm connecting with these people. They're beginning to send me direct messages and, and we start a conversation and I'm not converting the people. Do I have a skill problem or what problem do I have?
There's a difference between broadcasting and converting, right? So the thing about social media marketing is that's only one piece of it, but you also need to develop.
Social marketing opens the door for you, but once you get in the door, what are you going to do?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways that you want to make sure that you're setting the appointments. And then you also have to, you need to really understand where these consumers are coming from. Okay, people are not going on, we know this already. People are not going onto social media to buy houses. Okay, that is a secondary activity. Like, they're just kind of hanging out there. And so it's your job to learn how to instill urgency and commitment into the conversation. And so one of the most important things that you can do when you are identifying hand raisers is, number one, give them an opportunity to speak up. Right? There's two kinds of consumers who are following you in your audiences. And there are the quiet lurkers who are a really important contact for you. That's a prospect, but you won't be able to easily identify them because they are not yet ready to raise their hand. They're in that earlier part of the sales funnel where they're still doing education. They're trying to figure out the where, the when, what am I going to do? When is it going to be time to make a move? I know something's happening, but I'm not sure when the right time is going to be for me to actually hire a real estate agent. You need to be ready to provide them resources and still capture their information while you are empowering them to self-educate. And so this is where it sounds so silly, but this is where things like having a search site with a lead capture comes into handy, because people will look at your website to see what offers you have, and there they might continue to do research, and that's a great way to just capture leads. Other things you could do is offer buyer guides or seller guides or relocation guides, just ways to have gated content that people have to download in exchange for their contact information, which then allows you to put them onto an email list and follow up, or even give them a call directly to see how you can further serve them. But you also have to understand that if they're doing that, they're earlier on in the sales process. They are not going to be looking for houses. So the next offer has to be in line with where they are. And that's something that we spend a lot of time in the Market Authority Academy, just trying to figure out how to create the right offer that people cannot say no to. But on the other side of that, you have people who are going to be right now buyers and sellers, and they're going to tell you, they're going to slide into those DMs. They're going to say, hey, I saw that really awesome Instagram story that you said about that listing. We're kind of thinking it's getting time for us to list our home too. We'd love to, talk to you further about that. You got to book that appointment. You have to get that consultation in the books ASAP. And what we've always done, I know this sounds kind of weird, but we've always done buyer and seller consultations on Zoom before we ever even meet them in person, because it's faster and it's harder to say no to. And we know that overwhelmingly consumers will go with the first agents who they meet. And so however that has to happen, that's always been a Zoom call for us, and just doing a consultation to figure out where they're at and where they want to be and how we can help them get there. This is not a time for the agent to pitch. This is not a time for the agent to tell them how great they are. Like, it's not about you. It's about the client, and understanding as much as you can, just like you did with the ideal client work that you did, gathering as much detail like a little like scientist, so that you can figure out like a sniper exactly where to provide the perfect solution for their problem, so that they don't even look at any other agents when they're in the process of getting ready to list or buy.
And that's a very unique way to eliminate your competition.
There is no competition. When people will reach out to you and say, where do I sign? Like, the commission is not a conversation anymore. The employment contracts, those are not a conversation anymore. Like, they are playing Heisman for you throughout this whole process, which is so beautiful. And I think that's why I get so keyed up about this stuff, because I love selling, but mostly when I don't have to actually sell. I just want people to want my service. I don't want to have to convince anybody, you know?
That is the best way to do it. So, you know, there's a very popular like quote in the sales industry, and it's ABC, which for many people, it means always be closing. And what it sounds like is you flipped it upside down and you're always be contributing. You're giving the value. And as a result of that contribution, people don't need to be sold like you've done. So you've answered so many questions for them that didn't even know how to ask those questions, to the point that when you got face-to-face, belly-to-belly with them, it became a no-brainer decision, to where they say, how do we work with you, versus you saying, are you ready to get started? Stefanie, sounds to me like you've really looked into the science. You've really looked into the data of not only understanding your client, but also understanding the journey that they go through, so you could be there hand by hand, side by side with them along that journey, whether that's going to take 30 days for them to sign a contract or 3 months. And it really should never, ever matter. Your job is to serve and give value. And as a result of that, you will have everything that you are looking for. Stefanie, this has been freaking damn wonderful. This has been wonderful. It's like been like nugget after nugget. I think we can go on for another hour or so.
I know.
For another hour. Maybe we'll do a round number 2 sometime in the near future. But here's one thing I do know. If I'm listening, if I'm watching this video, I personally would be like, man, I just got lucky today. I got lucky because I got a new shortcut. It's taking me, my life, and my business to the next level. And that shortcut is Stefanie in the Marketing Academy. How can I find out more about what she can help me with?
Well, you're in luck, because I just launched my brand new website. So you can go to StefanieLugo.com. That's Stefanie with an F. Don't be messing with me with those PHs. It's Stefanie with an F, Lugo.com. And you can learn more about me, our mission, my free and paid resources, and how to apply to the Market Authority Academy. And I've been so grateful to work with over 100 agents in the last year, and overwhelmingly, so many of them have tripled or quadrupled their business. They've found more time and energy to spend with those that they love and enjoy their communities, while closing more deals while they're at it. And that is what I am all about, because the social media is only a small part of it. You need to understand the metrics, you need the systems, you need to know what to say. And I have a really holistic approach to how we solve those problems for the modern agent. And that's where we do it in the Market Authority Academy.
I love it. And I just want to piggyback on just 2 words that you said earlier. And I believe the 2 exact words you said, you know, authenticity. So if you're a person that has, you know, battled, you know, working with gurus that just want you to do things one way, sounds to me like, you know, what Stefanie's going to work with you on is how to find your authentic self and how to communicate your authentic self, your authentic message in a very genuine and sincere way. So you could be you and still be successful and not have to change. Maybe you have to change some of the things that you do, but you don't have to change who you are, because you're already beautiful as you are. Now we just want to make you more productive and more profitable. Stefanie, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for your time. We enjoyed the show. Everyone that's watching, everyone that's listening, I want you to reach out to Stefanie Lugo Stefanie with an F, not a PH. Don't mess with her now. And access her free resources, and then make your way to her paid resources if it's a perfect fit for you. And leave a comment saying, thank you, Stefanie. I appreciate you, Stefanie, and we'll see everyone on the next episode of the Top Listing Ninja Show. Thank you.
Thanks so much.